The Buryats, numbering approximately 500,000, are the largest indigenous group in Siberia, mainly concentrated in the homeland, the Buryat Republic, a federal subject of Russia. They are the major northern subgroup of the Mongols.Buryats share many customs with other Mongols, including nomadic herding and erecting gers for shelter. Today, the majority of Buryats live in and around Ulan-Ude, the capital of the republic, although many live more traditionally in the countryside. They speak a central Mongolic language called Buryat. According to UNESCO's 2010 edition of the Atlas of the World's Languages in Danger, the Buryat language is classified as severely endangered. History. The Buryat people are descended from various Siberian and Mongol peoples that inhabited the Lake Baikal region. Then in the 13th century the Mongolians came up and subjugated the various Buryat tribes around Lake Baikal. The name Buryat is mentioned as one of the forest people for the first time in the secret history of the Mongols. It says Jochi, the eldest son of Genghis Khan, marched north to subjugate the Buryats in 1207. The Buryats lived along the Angara River and its tributaries at this time. Meanwhile, the component Baga appeared both west of Baikal and in northern Buryatia's Bagazan Valley. Linked also to the Bagas were the Kori-Tumed along the Arag River in eastern Kovsgol province and the Angara. A Tumid rebellion broke out in 1217, when Genghis Khan allowed his viceroy to seize 30 Tumid maidens. Genghis Khan's commander Dorbe the Fierce of the Dorbed smashed them in response. The Buryats joined the Oirats, challenging the imperial rule of the eastern Mongols during the northern Yuan period in the late 14th century. Historically, the territories around Lake Baikal belonged to Mongolia. Buryats were subject to Tashid Khan and Setsun Khan of Kharkar, Mongolia. When the Russians expanded into Transbaikalia in 1609, the Cossacks found only a small core of tribal groups speaking a Mongol dialect called Buryat and paying tribute to the Kharkar. However, they were powerful enough to compel the Ket and Samoyed peoples on the Kan and the Evenks on the lower Angara to pay tribute. The ancestors of most modern Buryats were speaking a variety of Turkic-Tungusic dialects at the time. In addition to genuine Buryat Mongol tribes that merged with the Buryats also assimilated other groups, including some Oirats, the Kharkar, Tungus and others. The Kori Baga had migrated out of the Bagaz and eastward to the lands between the Greater Khingan and the Argan. Around 1594 most of them fled back to the Arga and Nerchinsk in order to escape subjection by the Dors. The territory and people were formally annexed to the Russian state by treaties in 1689 and 1727, when the territories on both the sides of Lake Baikal were separated from Mongolia. Consolidation of modern Buryat tribes and groups took place under the conditions of the Russian state. For the middle of the 17th century to the beginning of the 20th century, the Buryat population increased from 77,000 to 300,000. Another estimate of the rapid growth in people referring to themselves as Buryat is based on the clanless names paying tribute in the form of a sable skin tax. This indicates a population of about 77,000 in 1640, rising to 157,000 in 1823 and more than a million by 1950. The historical roots of the Buryat culture are related to the Mongolic peoples. After Buryatia was incorporated into Russia, it was exposed to two traditions, Buddhist and Christian. Buryats west of Lake Baikal and Alcorn are more Russified, and they soon abandoned nomadism for agriculture, whereas the eastern Buryats are closer to the Kharkar, may live in yurts and are mostly Buddhists. In 1741, the the Tibetan branch of Buddhism was recognized as one of the official religions in Russia, and the first Buryat Datsun was built. The second half of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century was a time of growth for the Buryat Buddhist Church. Buddhism became an important factor in the cultural development of Buryatia. Because of the skills in horsemanship and mounted combat, many were enlisted into the Amur Cossacks' host. During the Russian Civil War, most of the Buryats sided with the white forces of Baron Ungern Sternberg and Ataman Semenov. They formed a sizable portion of Ungern's forces and often received favorable treatment when compared with other ethnic groups in the Baron's army. After the revolution, most of the Lamas were loyal to Soviet power. In 1925, a battle against religion and clergy in Buryatia began. Datsuns were gradually closed down, and the activity of the clergy was curtailed. Consequently, in the late 1930s the Buddhist clergy ceased to exist and thousands of cultural treasures were destroyed. Attempts to revive the Buddhist cult started during World War II, and it was officially re-established in 1946. A genuine revival of Buddhism has taken place since the late 1980s as an important factor in the national consolidation and spiritual rebirth. In 1923, the Buryat Mongol Autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic was formed and included Baikal Province with Russian population. The Buryats rebelled against the communist rule in collectivization of the herds in 1929. The rebellion was quickly crushed by the Red Army with loss of 35,000 Buryats. The Buryat refugees fled to Mongolia and resettled, however, only a few of them joined the Shambhala rebellion there. In 1937, in an effort to disperse Buryats, Stalin's government separated a number of counties from the Buryat Mongol Autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic and formed Ust-Buryat Autonomous Okrug and Agin Buryat Autonomous Okrug. At the same time, some rayons with Buryat populations were left out. Fearing Buryat nationalism, Joseph Stalin had more than 10,000 Buryats killed. Moreover, Stalinist purge of Buryats spread into Mongolia, known as the Incident of Lumbi. In 1958, the name Mongol was removed from the name of the republic. BASSR declared its sovereignty in 1990 and adopted the name Republic of Buryatia in 1992. The constitution of the republic was adopted by the People's Khural in 1994, and a bilateral treaty with the Russian Federation was signed in 1995. The Buryat national tradition is ecological by origin in that the religious and mythological ideas of the Buryat people have been based on a theology of nature. The environment has traditionally been deeply respected by Buryats due to the nomadic way of life and religious culture. The harsh climatic conditions of the region have in turn created a fragile balance between humans, society and the environment itself. This has led to a delicate approach to nature, oriented not towards its conquest but rather towards the harmonious interaction and equal partnership with it. A synthesis of Buddhism and traditional beliefs that formed a system of ecological traditions has thus constituted a major attribute of Buryat eco-culture. Subgroups. Major tribes: Buligad, Kongador, Kori Buryats, Ekirid, Sarchlul Buryats, Songol, Tabungud. Other tribes: Alair, Ashibagad, Artagan, Kemnigan Buryats, Ikanat. Notable people: Valery Inkijinov, French actor; Balginy Masirenpolov, Russian archer; Yuri Yekhanurov, a former Prime Minister of Ukraine; Agent Dorjiev, Buddhist monk, tutor of the 13th Dalai Lama. Also see List of Buryats in Russian Wikipedia for more articles.